wherever it goes, it's interesting.
Good morning. It's 6:45 a.m. and you're enjoying Telecomputer's sleep service.
Welcome to tomorrow's world. Welcome to the television of the future. Welcome to Me TV.
Come on, sleepyhead, time to get up.
In the years to come, media and communications might look like this.
Good morning. Morning, Justin.
Morning, Dad.
Hey, I thought we said no video games before school.
Dad, I'm downloading something from the Library of Congress.
Oh.
Or like this.
Have you ever watched the movie you wanted to,
Science fiction!
the minute you wanted to? Learn special things.
That's all taken from jazz.
Now any questions? From faraway places.
Oakland?
So where did jazz come from?
Good question.
Or tucked your baby in. From a phone booth. You will.
In the United States this year, such high-tech fantasies of the future have seemed more real than ever before. The reason? Well, in part at least because of home shopping.
What I already have in my own closet, you need not necessarily buy every piece. You could wear it with your
Home shopping might seem an unlikely blueprint for the futures of the entertainment, information and communications industries. But home shopping has two great advantages over the rest of the media world. Home shopping makes its millions by being interactive. You see products on the screen and then buy them with your credit card. Television tomorrow, the pundits all agree, will be interactive. Over the past 15 years, new cable services like QVC and Home Shopping Club have transformed the American television landscape. But much of the industry, including Barry Diller, believes a far more profound change is imminent, a change to which the success of QVC is a clue. Television is about to become interactive. Digital compression and fibre optics now mean that far more information can be carried over a network of cables, and that information can travel both to and from every point. Not only can the number of channels available to every home grow to 500 or 5,000, but viewers will be able to send instant messages back into the system. For this to become a reality, a fibre optic network, an information superhighway as it's known, needs to be laid across the United States. This year has seen both cable television operators and telephone companies, traditional rivals in the information business, building alliances to install this network. The nation's largest cable operation is Liberty Media and TCI, both headed by entrepreneur John Malone, who owns interest in many cable services, including CNN and QVC.
We hope to complete our terrestrial rebuild within 4 years. Around 3.5 years, which will essentially equip 90% of our subscribers with this massive bidirectional infrastructure. The services they choose to take, of course, are up to them, but the facility will be in place and capable of providing a major increase in services, both entertainment and potentially telephony.
The networks have had the advantage of being a habit in America. Most of the people who live in America today grew up with 3 networks and maybe an independent station. There are now millions of children in America who are growing up in cable television households where there are dozens of channels, where their television is also a video game console. And these children, I do not believe, will have the same loyalty to the networks that Mr. Stringer and his generation have had.
Even in its earliest online versions today, interactive television is not just about buying silk cassettes and watching movies whenever you want. This autumn, Sega will test market a cable channel on which users can play the latest games. Interactive access via cable to information databases with photographs and sound recordings is already on offer with the Main Street project in Boston.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
In the EON system, data is sent and received over microwave links and satellite, so that alongside the usual television pictures, interactive program guides can be accessed by the user, who can also participate in game shows and shop from the screen. Perhaps the world's most sophisticated interactive service is operated by VideoWay on the Montreal cable system. This provides information services such as weather and travel reports, a range of computer games, a pay-per-view movie service, and a number of applications in which the user can choose which version of, say, a sports broadcast to watch.
You also get the speed and type of each pitch. You can look up instantly updated statistics for the pitcher and player at bat, see the scoreboard, and get a replay anytime. Now you try it.
And he has a fastball and slider to back it up.
You're watching Sleepcore. Pleasant dreams.
Hi, I'm Mark Bunting. Welcome once again to Bunting's Window to the Net. This time, we're going to be focusing on Apple Computer. Now, Apple's in a rather unique position as it relates to the Internet, the intranet, and the World Wide Web. Think about it for a moment. Apple produces products, technologies, in all of the areas necessary to take advantage of this new digital phenomenon. They've got hardware, software, operating systems, servers, the like. Handheld devices, support, you name it. They play a role in every area related to distribution of content on the World Wide Web, the Internet, or the intranet. Apple's really got a three-pronged strategy as it comes to taking advantage of this new phenomenon. First of all, creation of content, an Apple stronghold. Apple's been in the business of creating media-rich content for quite some time. It's an area that they're a hands-down leader. But that's only the first leg. The other two are the delivery of that content and accessing that information. Apple, again, has got products and technologies to serve you in all three of these arenas, and we're going to learn exactly how. In fact, our first stop is with Larry Tesler to learn a little bit about Apple's strategy for taking advantage of the Internet, and also looking at ways in which they're adopting and creating standards for you to really utilize this new digital phenomenon.
Apple's goal is to make the Internet as easy to use as we made the Macintosh. The Macintosh has the most approachable and easy-to-use experience of any computer, and also is the leading multimedia computer. So what we're planning to do is bring a media-rich user experience to the Internet. Really what the Internet is all about is standards. The Internet connects together many different kinds of computers, and it's not possible for it to use the standards of any particular system. One very important standard that we're adopting is one created by Sun Microsystems called Java. The importance of Java on the Internet is that it creates dynamic content. Instead of just a web page sitting there and showing you a picture and some text, it can do things. It can capture data into forms, it can give you animations and so on in a way that will run on any platform. So Apple's made a deal with Sun to license Java, and we're going to be putting it in all our platforms. Certainly on the Macintosh, built into the operating system, but also built into the Newton and into the Pippin. One of the standards that Apple's contributing is QuickTime. QuickTime Media Layer has several parts. QuickTime, QuickTime VR, QuickTime Conferencing, and QuickDraw 3D. And each of these is a standard that we're promoting in the industry and working with other companies to work into their standards. QuickTime is the most popular standard for the creation of multimedia CD-ROMs, and it's also become by far the most popular standard on the Internet. We've made it even better now for the Internet by introducing QuickTime Fast Start. The idea here is that instead of downloading an entire QuickTime file before you can start watching it or listening to it, you can have it start to play while it's still downloading. And also it appears right in the web page that the user is looking at. So it just has a much better user experience. Netscape is so impressed by this that they've decided to bundle it with their Netscape Navigator 3.0 that's coming out this summer. And it's going to become a standard way to look at multimedia on the Internet.
It seems the buzz about computers is the internet. Every commercial you see, every college or school you attend, every person in the world seems to have their own space on the net.
That's right, but what is the internet and where did it come from?
Good question.
In tonight's News 9 Online, WMUR's Chris Thomas takes a look at the roots of the net.
During the height of the Cold War, there was always the possibility of armed conflict. The U.S. military needed a way to keep communication lines open, even if certain areas were knocked out. The computer network that was built to accomplish this would allow small packets of information to be routed around downed computer sites. As international tensions began to ease in the 1970s and 80s, computer experts, mainly in educational arenas, saw the military network as a good way to tie several computers together into a large online community. Information and ideas could then be sent to any connected computer, and thus the internet was born. It wasn't until recently that advances in home computers, communications, and local business interests allowed the general public access to the internet. Is there a simple answer to the question, what is the internet? We pose this to internet expert Mark Millett.
It doesn't have a simple answer because the internet is basically the sum of its parts. The internet is a lot of things going on in the world that you can access all together. You might as well ask, what is a town?
Computer information travels over the internet in small chunks known as internet packets, or IP. Since the packets are small, several people can send information back and forth at the same time without wasting too much bandwidth. Mark has an interesting analogy.
Consider a piece of data as all of the employees of a company that go from where they live and they come and arrive at the company. They might go by bus, by car, by taxi. You can think of each person as a packet, a portion of the employee base.
Bandwidth is the amount of space on a network for data transmission. The more data a network can handle, the wider the bandwidth. Bandwidth can be limited by slow telephone lines and modems, too many people on the net, or a downed computer terminal. Many people think this is the internet. This is known as the World Wide Web, WWW, or just the web for short. The web is to the internet much like Windows 95 is to the PC. You can do many things over the net by pointing and clicking on the graphics interface the web provides. Although the web is an important part of the internet, there's so much more that makes up cyberspace. When I hopped onto the internet back in 1993, there was no World Wide Web. Navigating the net back then meant a lot of typing and some unfriendly interfaces. Next time, we'll talk more about the web and some other items and tools available to us on the internet. Chris Thomas, WMUR's News 9 Online.
For more on the terms, history, and background of the internet, feel free to visit our News 9 Online companion section at our worldwide website. You can dial it up at www.wmur.com.
Is that what you're supposed to dial it up?
Yeah, and then type it in.
I'm going to watch you do that.
I'll give you a lesson after the show.
I'm going to need a few of them, believe me. There's still much more to come on tonight's News 9 at 5. Authorities continuing their investigation into a homicide in Derry. We'll have some of the latest details.
Online. I said, why? I've got a computer. He said, try it. You'll see. It's simple. Every time you sign on, welcome. It tells you if you've got mail. You've got mail. Want to send some email? Type the message, click here, and it's done. I like this. With one click, I can browse all kinds of great features on America Online. I've gotten help with my golf swing, I've planned my next vacation, even get stock price updates every 15 minutes. America Online has over 100 newspapers and magazines, everything from Business Week Online to Cycle World, and I can browse them all. With America Online, you can point and click your way across the internet. And their web browser makes it easy to explore the World Wide Web. Call the toll-free number and you'll receive your free startup kit and 10 free hours to look around. It's worth a try. You'll see.
To try America Online free, call 1-800-313-1919. You'll receive your free America Online startup kit and 10 free hours your first month. Call now.
You're watching Sleepcore, media for insomnia.
Have said, well, Ray Kurzweil's predicting conscious machines. Our prediction's a little bit different. We're going to have machines that claim to be conscious, and they're going to be very convincing, and we're going to believe them. That's a little bit different than absolutely saying that they are conscious. Well, how will this impact human life? This is not an alien invasion of intelligent machines. They're not coming over the horizon to disturb human civilization. It's emerging from within our human-machine civilization. We already have a very intimate relationship with our computers. If all the computers today in the world stopped, our civilization would grind to a halt. Well, you could say, well, of course that's true. We built them in our cars and power plants and in our banking system and so on. But that wasn't true as recently as 25 years ago. Most of the people in this room have lived through those 25 years. And 25 years ago, if all the computers stopped, a few professors would have been frustrated to not get their printouts from their punch card submissions. A few business reports would have been delayed, but it would not have disrupted human society. So we've made that fateful leap in the last quarter century. We no longer have our hand on the plug. I mean, we are dependent on our machines, that they're very intimately embedded in our civilization. Already $500 billion in the stock market is controlled by evolutionary algorithms. I'm not talking about program trading. Program trading is where human beings come up with simple rules, feed those into computers. The computers initiate the trades, but they're based on rules that humans have come up with. Evolutionary algorithms is where the computers not only make the trades, but they come up with the rules. And that's already 5% of the market, of the money in the market. You say, well, 5% is kind of a small percentage, but it was 2% last year. It was 1% the year before. It's going to be 8% next year. It will be more than 50% of the market within 5 or 6 years. So we're very rapidly, computer intelligence and unpredictable forms of computer intelligence are becoming very intimate in our civilization. We're going to become more intimate with our computers. We're going to ultimately, in many different ways, merge with our technology. We're already putting neural implants in our brains. We have neural implants for Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease involves the destruction of certain tissues, which we've identified, and there's a little neural implant that can replace the functioning of that little module and basically reverses the symptoms of Parkinson's patients, and I talk about that in the book. There's a neural implant that suppresses the tremors from multiple sclerosis. I have a deaf friend who's completely deaf up until the time he got his neural implant, which is called a cochlear implant, which replaces the auditory circuits that weren't functioning. And I can talk to him on the phone, and he can hear me and understand me. It hasn't made his hearing perfect, but he can understand me on the phone or in a meeting. He could be in the audience here. He doesn't lip read, and he could understand this lecture. So we're already putting neural implants in the brains of disabled individuals. Well, within 30 years, neural implants won't just be for disabled individuals. There'll be ubiquitous use of them to extend our normal faculties, to broaden them, to increase our memories. I mean, we have a hard time remembering a handful of phone numbers. I forgot the address of the museum coming over here, although it's hard to miss since it's a very colorful building. But we will be expanding our human intelligence through the use of this type of technology. We'll also have computers that are based on designs of the human brain that will be acting human in many different ways. So we will be, in many ways, merging with our technology, expanding our human horizons through this type of technology. Another thing we'll do with these neural implants is that's how we will relate to the World Wide Web. These implants will naturally plug into the ever-present wireless network, or internet, and the nature of the World Wide Web will be basically a virtual reality environment. Going to a website will mean entering a virtual reality environment. So if you go to the Vail skiing website, you'll be able to experience skiing in Vail, and you'll feel the cold, snowy air brushing against your face. We could have all been, in fact, geographically disparate. I could have been in Boston, and all of you could have been in different places, but we could still get together in this meeting rather than being in this hall. Not that there's anything wrong with this hall, but we could have met in a Mozambique game preserve or on a Cancun beach and feel the warm, moist air against our faces. We will go to virtual reality environments. Some of them will be very much like real reality, and they will not be the kind of crude experience that you may have had in arcade virtual reality today. They will be just as compelling and convincing as real reality. And we will go there and we will meet other real people there. And we will meet simulated people. And we will have experiences and relationships with other real people, and in some cases simulated people in virtual reality environments. And some virtual reality environments will have no counterpart in real reality. They'll be sort of fantastic, new, environments that we could never have experienced before. We'll be able to have new types of experiences. In fact, designing virtual reality environments will be a new job category that some of you might want to begin training for.
Some of the biggest changes in British life over the past 100 years have been in the way we work. The 9-to-5 working day and the job for life are increasingly a thing of the past. Many of our traditional industries are now gone, while information technology has revolutionised the way that we work. So what can we expect in the next millennium? In the second of her reports on life in the 21st century, our special reporter Rachel Ellison takes a look at the workplace of the future.
Just put your ticket in the machine.
Joe Barron's expert at dealing with flustered foreigners at Waterloo Station. Aged 54, he's one of the older members of the Eurostar workforce. But Joe, who was a bus driver for 27 years, has no intention of retiring when he's 65.
As I said to my wife a few days ago, I'll either walk out of here or be carried out in a box, feet first. The reason for this is, one, financial. Obviously, by working, you're earning more money, and it helps the old pension. And secondly is, I've had so many friends retiring, and they seem to have given up on life. You know, they wasted away.
Joe Barron may be leading a trend. According to the Family Policy Studies Centre, an ageing population coupled with better health and fitness could mean come the new millennium, lots of people will refuse to retire. In the latter half of this century, we've seen a trend towards having a younger workforce, with huge numbers of people taking early retirement. But in the next 50 years, we may well see people refusing to give up work, partly for financial reasons, but also because they want to stay physically and mentally active. Working patterns of the future will see more people working from home doing a portfolio of different part-time jobs. And according to research by Mintel, John Hamilton's one of a growing number of fathers opting for full-time parenting instead. The future will see more female breadwinners, with increasing numbers of women no longer prepared to give up their successful careers to raise a family. 3-year-old Rosa spends most days with her father whilst her mother goes out to work.
When Rosa was born, it seemed much more sense that Kate stay with her job after the maternity leave, and that I look after the childcare side of things. She has a career structure, it's a good job, and I'm very happy to be at home.
The couple's expecting a second child in March. After her maternity leave, Kate Pearce will return to work.
My career is important to me, and I enjoy my job very much. I think it's possible to have both, a job which is fulfilling and important, and to be a very committed and serious mother.
With more men than ever doing part-time jobs and women increasingly earning more than their partners, this family may find that in the future it's the norm rather than the exception, as decisions about who works and for how long become increasingly flexible. Rachel Ellison, BBC News.
Professor John Hunt of the London Business School has conducted studies into the workplace, and he's with me now. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We saw there men staying at home more with their children, but what do you think the most substantial changes in the 21st century in work are going to be?
I think there are 3 areas where there are going to be changes. Firstly, people are going to get control of their work lives in a way that they've never had before. They'll be able to negotiate, they'll be able to make their own arrangements. Secondly, as the film said, technology is going to have a very big impact. It's amazing how long, in fact, the office routine has persisted. But certainly with new technology, that will be able to be shifted. And thirdly, it's going to be variety, in the sense that people are not just going to do one thing for 30 or 40 years. Some people talk about portfolios, as was mentioned. I think portfolios may be overstating the case. I think there will be variations. So an accountant may become a corporate finance person, may become an investment advisor, rather than major changes.
So certainly not a job for life?
Certainly not a job for life, no. But there's going to be a change in the whole attitude about work. I mean, we've got to start talking about living, not work. I mean, some people work all week and charge down to the coast and then work all weekend on their boat, and they call that leisure.
Well, you seem to say, which is an interesting point, that they're going to have more control over it. Some people might argue about that. But one thing that is true is that people are living much longer, and they don't want to be retired very early and then have 40 years of not work. Is that going to change, do you think?
I think that is going to change. In fact, it's changing already. Retirement is a totally artificial concept. Someone who spent 30, 40 years developing expertise comes to 65 and we say, out. Most unrealistic. I think people will stay longer. The pressure will come from the people who are younger to get my age group to shove off.
Well, I'm sorry to say that's all I can ask you. I'm not asking you to shove off. Thank you very much, Professor Hunt.
You're watching Sleepcore. Sleep tight.
No one knows the 21st century like the people at Century 21. We're the best trained agents in the business. We've built the world's most powerful network linking buyers to sellers. Using tomorrow's technology, we're continuing to expand our abilities and your possibilities. No wonder we're the best-known name in real estate. At Century 21, we've been ready for the 21st century for a long time.
Standard video conferencing, it's so last century, but we have seen the technology of the future, and it's almost like being there without having to say, beam me up, Scotty. Here's John Blackstone.
For the filmmakers launching the latest Shrek movie.
I think that went pretty well.
Taking a meeting has taken on new meaning.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. I love that.
It's video conferencing as never seen before.
Well, this is an interesting way to meet.
Movie mogul Jeffrey Katzenberg helped Hewlett-Packard design the $350,000 multi-screen system.
It's not all smoke and mirrors.
So filmmakers across the globe can meet face-to-face.
To be able to see the detail on your face, your expressions, that you're understanding and connecting with what I say, you know, that is part of how we as human beings communicate.
Hey, Chef, you there?
Yes.
Are you ready?
We're ready, Chef. Celebrity chef Thomas Keller supervises his New York restaurant, Per Se, from his kitchen in California's Napa Valley.
I want you guys to try that over in New York and see what you think, okay? Give me some feedback.
Then there is Margaret Hushman, a 21st century video commuter.
Love you. Hey. See ya. Bye, babe.
After she takes her daughter to school in Texas, she reports to work via video conference to her cubicle in California.
People, you know, act as if I'm there. I mean, they really feel it. And actually, I'm so focused on what's going on there that I forget I'm in Texas.
She works for Cisco, maker of an $80,000 single-screen system. It's so real, people seem to forget Margaret is 1,800 miles away.
Morning.
How you doing?
I brought you a Starbucks.
Oh!
Hey! Oh, I'm so sorry.
Hey, Martin.
Hey, Margaret. Thanks for joining us.
Margaret became an early user of the technology when she moved from California to Texas, and her boss, Martin DeBeer, didn't want to lose her.
I can see her through the window when I sit at my desk.
She manages Martin's workload as if she's right next door.
This is Margaret.
With him hardly noticing she's half a continent away.
He's in a meeting right now. Can I take a message?
There must be things you can't do for Martin from here.
I can't get him his coffee, which I think is a step in the right direction.
For business people who've long wished they could be in two places at once, technology is making that almost a reality. The cost may be high, but for big companies, the savings in air tickets from here to here can make the system almost pay for itself. John Blackstone, CBS News, Glendale and Palo Alto, California.
He learned the wrong things. He got into systems, he learned how they worked, he told other people how they worked, and the people that ran the systems didn't want that to happen.
I'm frequently on a radio show with Emmanuel Goldstein of 2600 Magazine on a local radio station, WBAI, and we talk about how corporations and big business and the phone company often take advantage of the average consumer.
MCI, together with its partners, will invest more than $20 billion over the next 6 years to create a veritable brain trust for the information age. The space-time continuum. Yes, the space-time continuum is being challenged. The notion of communication is changed forever. All the information in the universe will soon be accessible to everyone at every moment.
Are they really saying
this? This is all here in today's New York Times. It's an MCI. It's the most incredible ad I've ever seen.
When I was 13 or 14 years old, and things were a lot different, people more or less just did this stuff because it was interesting, it was challenging, and it was a great way to learn about technology that you wouldn't normally have access to. being a 14-year-old kid or even a 21-year-old kid. So I can't say I've ever thought that I'd ever end up in prison.
So Fiber, this is it.
Yep, this is it.
All right. Take care, and we'll see you in 10 months or so.
Yep. We'll see everyone around.
Frankly, I'm pissed off about everything. I mean, considering the way I was sentenced, the judge's exact words were that he was sentencing me as a symbol to send a message. What kind of justice is that? Let him send the message some other way.
Agent Steele is a guy who's been around since the early 80s. A lot of people have known him. Very secretive. You could only contact him through numbers that died every month, and he would hand out new numbers to people he trusted. Lived in Los Angeles. Wrote a lot of interesting files, definitely into electronic fund transfers, the banking system, pulling scams, social engineering. Money was his big thing. Any way he could get money, he was interested in it.
Agent Steele tried to get me to break into central offices, remote switching units, TimeNet, Telenet nodes, tried to get me to data tap. He just did all kinds of stuff.
Apparently was caught along with Polson and cooperated in turning him in. What I've heard is that he turned state's evidence on a few other people, and in return he's been given immunity and protection.
That's Agent Steele. He's on the run. He was involved in credit card fraud, even though he was an FBI informant at the time. He narked off Paulson, Ron Austin, me, Mitnick, Roscoe, who knows how many other people who we haven't even heard about, just to say, hey, he can stay out of trouble and keep hacking.
My husband and I drive up to the house after being away all day. Noah and his sister are out of town. There's this strange car parked on the corner, which I notice as we drive up. And the other thing I notice as we drive into the garage is that out of this strange car get two men who start walking right up our driveway to the house. And I immediately had the feeling that they were some kind of law enforcement, but they weren't regular cops. They did not wear uniforms. One guy was wearing a suit, one guy was wearing a leather jacket, and they just had that other kind of cop look. And they came right up to us, and I think they asked for us by name. I think they asked, our last name. And I immediately knew that this had something to do with Noah and something to do with the computer.
I come back from spring break, come to my house, my parents tell me, guess who came to the door yesterday, Noah? I was like, oh, who? And my parents tell me that the Secret Service came to our door, and of course I thought they were kidding because they knew about how I was using computers and how I kind of suspected that they thought I was a hacker.
The thought of him being taken away to some federal prison just really, really upset me. And I think I would have done, if I really believed that was going to happen, I would have done almost anything to avoid that. Not because I condone anyone breaking the law, but it just seemed like in that case the law had a really heavy hand.
I mean, I equate it to petty vandalism. I equate it to the other kind of thoughtless things that younger people do.
What saved me was the fact that I was not malicious. I didn't go for the data. I just went for the access to the networks. My age, definitely. I was only 13 at the time when I was in Westinghouse, and 14 when the Secret Service agents busted me. Like I said before, they're not going to throw a 14-year-old in federal prison.
Just like I become sort of paralyzed in the conflict of, well, is this really, how bad is this really? How bad was that really? I mean, what was the damage? I mean, what was, you know, this is all gray area stuff.
And Westinghouse was completely unpassworded. Some of the lamest security I have ever seen. And it was just a big embarrassment for them considering they dealt with nukes.